It's time for Aggrochat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggernaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, I'm still on this nonsense of re-releasing episodes of Aggrochat. This one is episode number 4, called Mentors for Everyone, featuring Ashgar, Ray, Kodra, myself, and we talk about mentoring systems and how they're a benefit to every game that implements them. Anyway, I return you to the past. Hey folks, it's that time again for another episode of Aggrochat. Once again, I'm joined by our regular cast of hosts. We've got Ashgar.
Hello.
Ray.
Howdy, howdy.
And Kodra.
Hi.
Who is now back from traveling and hopefully won't be robot-y. This week was like a crazy pollen week here in Oklahoma, and I think both Ray and I were affected by it. I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but yeah, it's kind of bad.
It's super yellowy in Atlanta.
Yeah, like when it gets bad here, you'll walk out and your car will have a green or a yellow sheen on it, and it's just frustrating. But so what's everybody been up to? Ray, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been working on my submissions for the Landmark competition mostly, but I bounced around in Borderlands 2 with my little brother, and here at the tail end of the week, started getting some League of Legends back in.
Cool. Ash, what have you been up to?
New Kirby came out on Friday, so I've been playing that since then. But also this week, it's been shooter week, so a bit of Denmaku Unlimited too. Which
is a really fun game. If you haven't played it, you should. Kodra, what have you been up to?
So I've been out of town at the conference, but I've played some ESO today. I played some Danmaku Unlimited 2, and now I'm playing Shadowrun Returns.
Cool. My week has been a little weird. It's the start of the Newbie Blogger initiative, so I've been devoting a little bit more than normal time to that. Going to take a couple seconds to plug that. Basically, since 2012, there's been a running thing in the gaming blogosphere where for a month, most of the bloggers are trying to support, newbies with either advice or just exposure to the world. And we've got, I think, about 15 people signed up this year.
Nice.
So if you've ever considered making a blog about gaming or geekdom, you should totally check out newbiebloggerinitiative.com and sign up. There's no real expiration during the month. It's not like if you didn't get in on May 1st, you can't join at all. So if you're interested, you should totally check that out. So one of the things I'm going to do tonight is slightly different than I've done in other weeks, because I kind of drive the car here of this podcast, which means I oftentimes pick what we're going to talk about. But since we have this nice long list of topics, I am going to sit back and let you guys pick a topic, and we will talk about it. That way I'm not unduly influencing the process.
2048!
Oh, God. Have you seen the 2048 and Flappy Bird clone mixtures?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're disturbing. Yes. Yeah. It's like two evil games mixed. All you need is Candy Crush in the mix, and you're good.
Speaking of which, I played a lot of Candy Crush, and I think I'm finally done with that one.
I figured it would be something that would work out of your system. Yeah, I figured it would work out of your system really quickly.
It's a game that relies on. I got to a level that heavily depends on you just getting a lucky starting config in order to succeed.
Or
you pay money. But no. It is the game is purely, did you get the right starting config? Grats, you can win.
Mm.
So I had my own experience with that for a short period of time this week. Not Candy Crush, but another horribly addictive mobile game, Clash of Clans.
Oh, yeah.
The Alliance of Awesome people were playing that, and I'm like, okay, I'll install this and see what it is. And I lasted maybe a day, Because this is just like, no, I don't want to play the whole wait an hour for something to happen or pay a few gems and get it instantly. So yeah, that was it for me on that one.
I had a roommate once who was into that, so
How
I'm
old of a
not.
game
knew
is
too.
it? Like, I didn't even know it was a thing until they started having commercials for it.
at least 3 years.
Really?
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, like, until I saw the cute little commercials, I didn't know it was a thing. But, yeah, so mobile games.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. I seem to lack whatever characteristic works for most people on those games. Because, like, everything that's one of these super addictive games, like, I maybe last 30 minutes in before I'm done with it.
You have willpower. Congratulations.
I don't know. Like, it feels like they're not even trying to hide the fact that it's a money grab. Like,
Well, I think the whole point of it is create a game that's fun for somebody to play, and then they get into playing it, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to pay money for stuff. But then you get to a point where you're like, oh, but I'm so close to this thing, and I've invested so much time into it. I guess $2 won't hurt, right?
That is absolutely the business model of Candy Crush.
yeah, but I don't know. Like, I just don't care about the thing enough. Is the problem? It doesn't feel like a real enough game to me to make me care. Like, I will totally pay in-game currency for a cosmetic outfit for my character so he looks cool. But I can't bring myself to care about, paying gems so I can complete this task faster. I don't know. Like, that was the problem I had with Neverwinter Crafting. I don't want to play this little game. I don't know.
It's a tried and true method, really.
It is, and it works, obviously. It works on most people, but for whatever reason, it does not work on me.
It's super effective on me.
Like, I will totally pay for meaningless crap to make my character look cool, but when it comes to speeding things up, yeah, I don't really care. I just stop playing. But
Really, though, the energy model is just sort of... While it's rested is similar to the energy model,
yeah,
when you think about it. Actually, you don't even have to think about it because they did extra credits on it.
well, it totally is, but
It's just
the
presented differently.
The difference is there you can still do something. The problem that I have with these games that have okay, now you have to sit and wait around is like there's literally nothing you can do for that hour and a half or however long it takes to craft the item or harvest the gold or crops
It's true,
to grow.
you can still do things, it's just half as fast.
Yeah, like I'm fine. Like just so long as I can do stuff. Like, we were having a discussion earlier about how I felt like the ESO launch was much better than, say, the Final Fantasy launch, in that at least I could play ESO even if it was being buggy. It really wasn't that buggy. But, like, I don't know. When it came to the Final Fantasy 14 launch, I would have rather played the game knowing that I couldn't complete instances. I could
Rather
still
than
at least... Rather than not know whether or not I could get into the game. Like, I would rather play a game that I knew was going to have limited features, but at least I could do something, than play a game where I just couldn't simply play it.
So, I think that's not necessarily always the case, like, psychologically for people. Like, they basically, if they can't play the game, then oh well, they can't play the game. If the game they are playing is bad, then it's a bad game.
Yeah, and I think I just, like, my brain ticks different when it comes to that, because, like, okay, I could just accept that this one thing is bugged. Everything else could be working fine, but this one thing is bugged, and I just ignore it. I go on and do other things, but I don't know. I did not like the randomness that was trying to log in. Now, granted, once you finally got in, life was good, but it caused us to
After the
do
first few days,
horrible things like stay logged in 24 hours. Yeah.
I feel like people's memories regarding launches are incredibly short.
I don't have a short memory about Champions launch.
No, okay, I remember that one too, but
Champions launch was really bad. I don't like...
that was a special case.
I
That
feel
wasn't
like
the game
I
isn't
look
working. That was we fundamentally broke how the game works.
Like, I feel like the WoW launch didn't feel as bad to me as some of these recent launches, even though I know it was horrible.
But it's so far in the past.
And that's the thing, is it was a long time ago. And yeah, things were broken, but I still figured out things I could do, even though things were broken.
Like, do you remember trying to play Diablo 3 around launch time?
Oh, it was horrible. Like, I stopped playing it because I was lagging so bad that I couldn't do anything. Or I would just die randomly and not even know what killed me.
But generally speaking, though, if they can get past that first week to month and things are functional, then people forget eventually.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but I feel like the Elder Scrolls launch has been extremely smooth.
Oh, I've been impressed with it since day one. Even the betas were incredibly playable and beautiful.
There was a lot of crashing during some of the betas.
Some
Quite
of the
a few
betas.
betas.
There were a lot of crash desktops.
Yeah, and I
But
just
still,
kind of
that
got
wasn't
used
like
to it.
that wasn't hours or days at a time when you were supposed to be able to play that you couldn't.
I feel like those betas, though, prepared me for the game because now I have maxims like when in doubt, log out. But most people don't have those. But overall, I think it's been really smooth. Like, I think it's one of the more successful launches. But then again, there's been a lot of games that I thought the launches were pretty smooth. Like, I thought the Rift launch was pretty smooth overall. Final Fantasy, other than not being able to play the game, was pretty smooth.
But that was also a
week to
relaunch.
iron things out. But yeah,
It was a little longer than a week.
took them about a week to iron things out. But as you point out, that was a relaunch. The initial launch was, well, not something I missed. It was, I think, the only pre-order I've canceled.
Ouch. I haven't been around for too many launches. Some of the WoW expansions, played Star Wars, The Old Republic, Final Fantasy, and ESO.
Star Wars felt like a fairly smooth launch from what I remember.
Star Wars had similar problems as the Rift. It had queues out the wazoo.
Like, I don't mind a queue, though, honestly, because I know if I'm patient, I can get through. That was the thing that killed me with the Final Fantasy launch was there was no hope of ever getting in. Like, it was total random chance. There was no queue.
Okay, you'll get in eventually.
And even when they added queues, we weren't entirely sure they were queues.
Yeah, like
that was kind of a weird situation, yeah.
Yeah, like if you had a queue, chances are you weren't ever going to make it in. Like when you actually did make it in, there was no queue. It was the weirdest thing ever. But anyway, game launches are always a point of divisiveness. But I think ESO was one of the more smooth ones.
Given the competition, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, giving first time out of the gate. Granted, that doesn't necessarily work entirely for them because if you look at the team that they have, there's a lot of people that have done launches before. But
that's why a lot of things are done the way they were.
Yeah, that said, there's still a lot of bugs with ESO. Like, they have a lot of... they don't have any one major overlying problem they need to fix. They have a lot of small issues they need to still polish up.
Their problem is they have a ton of content.
They do have a ton of content.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird bugs. It's like they're not necessarily overarching game-breaking bugs, but they're maddening when you encounter one because you don't know what's causing it.
Yeah.
Per se, or how to even get past it.
I think I tried to do the Circus of Cheerful Slaughter several times on my Dragon Knight, and I still haven't been able to actually proceed.
I know there's a quest out in Alakir that people have been complaining about being broken in chat every time I've been out there.
Yeah, then there's also the quest that I feel like I don't know how they work. Like that Blizzard Racing quest from today.
I think the racing quests have all had issues from the beginning.
Like, I chose to spend money on each of the options and got through it the first try. You chose to try and not spend any money and ended up spending a lot of money in the process.
Aww.
That sounds accurate.
I mean, how much money how many times did you have to buy the lizard and buy the whatever?
I still haven't beat it. So, like, I've bought the lizard, I've bought the snack. Neither of those worked on their own, so I'm going to probably have to buy the lizard and buy the snack.
Right,
and
you have to buy them both together to get through it. Like, that's how I got it. Like, I did that first time, and mostly it was a situation of I didn't want to screw with it. Like, okay, I will spend 600, 700 gold and be done with it.
Now you know how free-to-play games work.
Yeah,
No, it is. Maybe that's the joke. Like, I just figured there might be an alternate way of winning, which is what I kept looking for. Anyways,
I feel like that is the anti-cheapskate quest, that you have to spend lots of money or you end up having to spend lots more money. I don't know.
Maybe it's commentary.
There's got to
maybe
be
it's
another
commentary.
way.
There's a lot of things that are commentary.
There's got to be another way to win it. I just haven't figured it out.
I'm very behind. I wish I had more clones.
Same.
I would love to have more clones. Like,
I might
there's
have
a
played
lot of
Child
games.
of Light by now if I had more clones.
There's a lot of games I want to play right now. Like, all of a sudden I've gotten the urge to play some more Rift, and I would love to play ArcheAge. And on a whim, now that the SOE All Access Pass thing is happening, I would kind of like to go back and play some more Dragon's Prophet. But what do I end up playing? Mostly Elder Scrolls, because I have fallen into an Elder Scrolls hole, and there is no sign of it letting up yet.
I think it'll be a while.
Like, I want to get to the next content areas, but I've been working on Bankarai.
It takes you long enough. That hole's just only going to get deeper.
I know. I've been working on Bankarai, and every time I think I'm somewhere vaguely close to getting through, I find an area that I missed that has its own batch of stuff that I have to complete. So I don't know if I'll make it out of Bankarai before I hit 50. Because I'm almost 46 now, and still in Bankarai, and still have a lot of Bankarai left, it seems.
Well, at 48, you'll stop getting XP from mobs, so...
Well, that'll at least slow me down a bit. But it's big zone. Like, I really like that zone so far.
I think you just like killing all the vampires and werewolves.
I do like killing vampires and werewolves, it's true.
Depriving
and I'm a horrible
the poor
person
people
for doing it.
of their infectious bites.
Although, honestly, past that first day, I haven't seen... Like, that first day I was out, I killed a lot of werewolves, but I haven't seen them since. I think those are only in a certain area of the zone, and I just haven't stumbled onto them again.
And it's only at certain times of day, right?
It's nighttime, I think. But, I don't know. I haven't found any vampires at all. Like, apparently they are significantly rarer.
Or word has gotten out about your endeavors.
and they're keeping them away from me?
Yes.
I don't think it works that way. Maybe it does.
People seem to be still selling vampire bites from anywhere between 10 to 30k, so
Wow.
I'd say vampires are rather rarer than werewolves.
Wow, that just seems like a lot of money to pay for a vampire bite. When eventually it will be relatively common to get a vampire bite.
Yeah, but
I guess people
wait?
want it now so that they can level it.
Also, it might be good to get it while it's still overpowered.
I guess. I still plan on not doing either. I want to be a hunter.
So I was just looking up the Reddit Elder Scrolls Ask Us Anything. That might be a good to discuss. Did you guys? And the first thing I wanted to discuss is, did you guys see their proof photo?
You know the old saying.
That's funny to me. Oh man, I hate that old saying.
The old saying is horrible. I didn't even see the AMA. I feel horrible for not seeing it, but I didn't see it.
Don't worry, I didn't see it either.
Like, I read through a list of some of the things they talked about.
Dolphy put up a nice list, so...
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Dolphy is handy like that. But it looks like there's a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe. I'm really interested to see what the justice system ends up being. Mostly because after seeing what the justice system is in ArcheAge, it has me intrigued.
I'm very hopeful that it will allow me to kill the NPC banker that says, "Do you know that old saying?"
So, have you watched any of the streams or anything for ArcheAge?
No.
No.
Okay, so as you're out in the world, there are certain actions that cause you to get crime points. Like if you kill another player, or if you kill an NPC, or if you steal something. So like if you walk up to a field that you do not own and pick crops, you get crime points for that. And
even if no one sees you?
Even if nobody sees you, yeah. Like I don't know about that point. If it has to be if somebody sees you, but you rack up basically a bounty. And every so often, like, you can either get caught, or if you die, you respawn in jail. And you can go before a like tribunal. So you can have a trial. but the trial is made up of other players. So, say you've got like X number of crime points, and that would be worth 14 minutes in jail. Well, you can go before the trial and try and get off with nothing. Or the other day, somebody had like 900 crime points, and they got a sentence from the player tribunal of 14 hours. And they can't do anything. Like, they're stuck in jail for 14 hours. Now, you can log out and have the time expire while you're in there, but I just thought that was kind of a cool system. Obviously, it's kind of going to get abused by people who are going to vote to hang you regardless, but...
I was going to say...
Death or exile?
But apparently, like, there's a piracy system in the game that you can only access by being a criminal. So everyone is trying to be a criminal right now. So that they can be pirates. Yeah, in ArcheAge. But anyway...
my concern about that is, is there going to be, like, normal gameplay that's going to get you bad points?
I don't think so. Like,
go out of your way.
So here's the thing, and this is the only part that I did not like about it, is say you end up getting flagged up somehow, and someone attacks you. If you attack back and kill them, you committed murder, and you get crime points for that. So, yeah, and there's a lot of aspects of that game that are going to expose you to PvP regardless of if you want to or not. Like, there are trade routes and stuff, and all the trade routes go through essentially the equivalent of nullsec from EVE, where no man's land, where anyone can do anything. Honestly, the more I see of it, the more it reminds me of EVE, but in a fantasy setting.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Like, well, I it's weird to me because, like, there are certain aspects that I find really intriguing, and there are certain aspects that I want to say, nope. And I don't know which outweighs which right now.
Right now, $150 outweighs anything else they could possibly say about that game.
Yeah, that's my big problem with it, is the price tag, and I know.
$150
for the instant alpha founders pack.
Oh,
that's the price to currently get into alpha.
Yeah, there are other packs, but they won't. It's just like Landmark, except for the difference is Landmark had a $50, $60 pack, and this one just has the $150 pack.
And Landmark doesn't make
the difference is
people.
$90.
Well, no, Landmark doesn't have combat at all right now, which is honestly part of my problem with that game. Like, I like the game a lot, but at the same time, I'm running out of things I care to do.
It's more tool than a game at the moment.
Right now it's Lego. I mean, it's cool for that, but it reaches a point where I'm just kind of bored. Once they have combat in, I think I will really enjoy it again.
But you have to maintain upkeep on your keep.
Right.
On your claim.
Which is actually not bad. I mean, you just go harvest ore every so often. I mean, it's copper ore, and you can, in 15 minutes, you can get several weeks worth of copper ore.
Especially when you have help.
Yeah. But that's honestly what's holding me back from playing Landmark at the moment, though, is I kind of, we did the progression, and now it doesn't really feel like there's a game left other than building.
Upgrading your picks?
Well, and I started doing that, and I've almost got enough to get the Tech Forge is what you need to do for upgrading. But, I don't know, I'm just ready for them to put combat in. Like, I was playing Trove, which is super primitive compared to Landmark, but I was actually enjoying playing Trove more because there's stuff to do. Like, there's non-crafting stuff to do.
Peaceful activities don't interest you anymore.
Well, I do like to kill me some stuff.
Have you thought about building anything for the Landmark contest?
No. I mean, it's cool and all. I build a very specific kind of way, and I don't think it's the kind of way that they'll care about because they want buildings that showcase their smooth tools and things like that, and I don't really like the smooth tools. I like nice square things. So, yeah, I don't feel like my buildings would be popular amongst the Landmark zeitgeist. I mean, the fact that you can do the smooth stuff is cool and all. It just, I don't know, like, I've never... all the things I've done with the smooth tool I haven't really liked. So I end up deleting it and going back to square edges. But what you're doing is looking awesome, mind you.
There's techniques to it.
I think your stuff looks really cool, but
like one of the best ways to make stuff that looks good using the smooth tool is you create a shape or a form, and then you copy it and make it like 5 voxels deep, and then you smooth that whole thing, and then you take a slice out of the middle, and then you basically have that nice curved but flat-edged shape.
Yeah, and that just seems like a lot of effort to do to do the things I want to do when I could be just as happy with my square edges. But I don't know.
I think your castle's cool.
I like my castle, but I need to do so much on it that it's going to take hours. And I'm basically with Landmark where I am with Minecraft, where every so often I just get the urge to build, and I will spend a couple days doing it, and then I'm okay for a while. Like I don't need to do it every day. Yeah, I got my fix of building, and then in a couple weeks it'll hit again, and I'll add on to it, and that's how my keep has been moving along so far. Is that I'll go through these little binges of building, and it'll make progress, and then I'll go back and not do anything for a while.
All this Landmark talk has me really curious about the development of EverQuest Next.
I'm excited.
I don't know what Next is going to be like.
And I don't know I don't know what sort of development is really going on there. Because it seems to have all been thrown behind Landmark, which is their big public thing now.
Well, the way I understand it is they have teams working on both sides of it.
I do know that there are some developers that we saw at the very beginning of Landmark that we haven't seen at all in any of the public since. And I think a lot of those guys are fully devoted to Next. I think the combat system and stuff like that is going to be the first fruit of the system. Like, I feel like whenever we get combat, it's going to be, this is what's going to be in Next. And they'll use Landmark as a way to test it and demo it. But it'll be interesting to see. Like, I know before the end of the summer, supposedly combat and stuff like that's going to be in game.
Yeah,
and the class systems, and that's where it's going to interest me, because honestly, that's the aspect of ArcheAge that I find the most intriguing. Is
their class system?
It's a freeform class system. Yeah, there's like 20,000 possible combinations of classes or something like that.
Freeform in a sense.
Well, you have, so it's basically Rift.
It's as freeform as Rift anyway.
It's Rift without the class restrictions.
Right.
So you have a tree, and it does a thing, and you can put it with any other 2 trees, and they do things.
So, like the Secret World?
A lot like the Secret World, or imagine ESO, but if
Secret World is a better match.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, imagine ESO if you had access to all the class trees on all characters.
What the people in the forums are crying for?
Oh yeah, but and what's cool is, like, you'll put together a combination of trees and it has a name. Like, so I was fiddling with one of the character generators, and I just happened to put together the trees I thought would be interesting to play together, and it told me it's a Dark Knight.
Interesting.
Which was like Necro and Warrior and Protector or something like that. So it was like a melee, a tank, and a Necromancer. But the game Horizon had a system like that where you could basically put together any classes that you wanted. And its execution was horrible, but I thought the idea was cool. I would just like to see somebody do that well. And I don't know if that's ArcheAge or if it's somebody later down the line, but I like freeform multiclassing. Well, freeform multiclassing that doesn't require everything to be macroed together.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem with Rift as is.
Well, Rift needed to really limit its hotbar.
They've been cutting abilities down, but I don't know if... I have been back to it, and I know they haven't changed the things that I disliked about it, so...
Well, I do know, like, I was playing my Cleric today on a whim, and the build that I was at was still super effective, but, like, when I looked it up in the build list, it said it was deprecated, so it had been replaced as, like, one of the standard builds, so it makes me wonder what they've done to replace it.
Because you don't need to spam frozen whatever in between your massive blows? Because you have ability A and ability B that has a cooldown, but it's better in every way than ability A.
Yeah, the build doesn't have a lot of that in it. Like, they've gotten rid of a lot of those abilities where this one thing is better, but you have two other copies that are not as good.
Right,
You need to spam instead.
They got rid of the copies, but it's still spammable skill A and not spammable skill B with a cooldown.
Yeah, it's true.
Shaman definitely still has that.
Yeah, and I just end up macroing those two together, which I know is the problem.
Uh-huh.
Which I really do have a single button build, which is ultimately the issue of all of the Rift things, is that you can make single button builds.
Yeah.
As far as, like, MMOs of that style that are interesting to play, really nothing is beaten WoW. For me.
Oh, for the WoW-like MMO?
Yes.
Yeah, except for, I don't know, like, the thing that felt frustrating with Pandaria is they created a bunch of different versions of a rogue. And the other versions of the rogue seemed better than the rogue. Like, the paladin version of a rogue is totally more enjoyable than a rogue.
Yeah.
I disagree, mostly because paladins are cooldown limited. They're kind of have that situation I was just talking about in Rift, except WoW doesn't even let you macro them together.
Right, you have to spam this ability when it's up, but it's very rarely up. The problem with
being
WoW,
resource limited, which is the thing that DK does. DK and Rogue do fairly well.
The
and
problem with WoW is
Monk too.
what I ultimately end up doing a lot is just spamming 3 buttons all the time. Because I don't want to have to watch for these other 2 cooldowns whenever they fire. So I just spam all 3 at the same time.
I don't like watching for those cooldowns, which is why I like to have some way of monitoring them audibly.
You could just play a rogue and spam the buttons until they work.
That's
true.
That's the way warriors work too, is you pretty much just spam the things until they work. And you make sure you turn off the audible sound saying...
Oh, yes.
That's not ready yet. I can't
Exactly.
cast that.
Yep. Yeah, that's the path of madness, is to listen to that forever.
I actually had it on for so long that I kind of forgot that it was there. And I could play with it being spammed and not know.
So, I gotta say, after playing ESO, my new... And this has been a must-have for me for a while, and I thought I would be okay without it in ESO, but no game from this point on should ship without a mentoring system. That's just a must-have to me right now. It's. I don't know if I will play another game in the future without mentoring, because it's too frustrating to try and keep in sync with people.
Yeah.
To where you can actually do stuff meaningfully with different levels of people. Like, I like bolstering that happens in Cyrodiil, but it's not quite enough. Like, Cyrodiil is such a small portion of the game that, I don't know, I feel like that ESO desperately needs mentoring. And
I can see that.
WoW desperately needs mentoring. And every other game that I've played that doesn't have mentoring desperately needs mentoring.
But WoW doesn't care what you do except at the level cap, so it doesn't really need mentoring.
I know, and that's frustrating because there's so much good content in the in-between levels that is now just throwaway. And I feel the same is true with ESO. There's so much good content in the in-between levels that there needs to be a way for you to drop down and run it with your friends that can only play once a week without having to keep a separate character just for them. Because it's, I don't know, like, yeah, it's still kind of sort of challenging to run, say, Spindle Clutch at 30 with a group of level people. But ultimately, you end up taking a lot of risk without any potential reward of even paying for your repair bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's maddening.
Yeah.
Is like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I will if there's no other option, but I've reached a point where I don't want to do it anymore because I know anyone that goes into Spindle Clutch is going to wipe a couple times. And there's just no way around that. I mean, that's not a good, bad, indifferent thing. You're going to wipe. And as the highest level person in there, you have no way at all of recuperating those costs. At least you could get some loot that was of level if you were mentored down, which benefits your alts so that there's a point of you to be there other than just sacrificial lamb.
Especially since loot on ESO binds to account and not to player.
Yes.
Well, exactly.
Oh,
Like, so you can
yeah.
totally gear up your character, your lobies, by going into these dungeons. I mean, it feels like everything about the game is set up to make it easier to alt, and then you don't have mentoring, which kind of ruins it. But I don't know. I feel like that is definitely something that needs to happen.
Yeah,
And I don't even know if it's on the radar. I mean, there's a lot of threads. Like, I did a
I
search
think it came
on...
up in the Ask Us Anything.
Like, I did a search on the forums the other day, and there's a ton of different threads asking for mentoring, so hopefully it gets listened to. But the problem is it will probably come in too late to help out the people that are going to get frustrated because they can't run the stuff they need to run because everyone has out-leveled them.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
And it's kind of a sensitive issue for me, too, because when I first started playing World of Warcraft, I had friends that were all max level, and I didn't understand why they couldn't just play with me, get on their characters and do something with me. And, there wasn't really any benefit to them playing with their max level characters, and they didn't really have alts around my level. So it was kind of a rocky start, and it has instilled in me this need to have a current character that's the same level as everybody, so I'm not holding people back and making them do things that they're not going to benefit from. It puts a lot of pressure on me because of lacks of these systems.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think there necessarily has to be as much of a benefit for the person who's mentored down, but there should at least be a hope of paying for repair bill from the miscellaneous loot that you would get in an instance.
That doesn't really cover a repair bill at level, unfortunately, unless you're doing the quest there.
Right, I guess. I don't know.
The good news is it might soon, because they're reducing the durability damage you take in instances.
Oh,
Nice.
are they?
Yes.
That would help a lot, because I've come out of instances completely broken, and it's frustrating.
And then you're completely broke.
Well, and the thing is I've gotten so used to just never repairing.
Just make a new one?
I just craft a new set of gear that it's noticeable when I have to repair. And for those who don't know this trick yet, if you're short on money, never repair in Elder Scrolls. Level your crafting and craft new gear.
You're giving me Final Fantasy 14 flashbacks.
No. Thank God cash is not as tight as it was in Final Fantasy 14.
Because the economy is still net positive?
Well, okay, the economy is not stacked against you. Like, I bought my 42,000 gold mount, and I'm already back up to 10k. So, I'm doing okay. Like, I'm not struggling for money the way I was in Final Fantasy. Yeah, so,
He's K.
I don't know. So I don't think the economy is as broken as people seem to think it is. The economy isn't as stacked against the player as it is in some games.
I just think it's funny that in the beta, I was so into crafting, I never got a mount ever, because I kept buying bag space.
Oh, yeah.
I know how that feels.
I've managed to limp. Like, I did a couple upgrades of bank and my bags, and then I've managed to limp along with that. I think I've got 90 of each, and that's enough for most things. I guess now that I've bought my expensive mount, I'll start upgrading my bags again.
I shell out the 11k for the bank upgrade this week.
I did
Up
that
to
a while
100
ago.
slots.
That's probably what I'm going to do next, because I really need more slots to store stuff in the bank.
I
But
think
I, however, don't have my fast horse.
I need to get my inventory up, and I also need to get my fast horse.
The money starts to really add up once you get to Bankerai. Like, I noticed that big time is once I got into Bankerai, I went from like 20 to 40 in
Quests are
short
definitely
order.
worth a noticeable amount.
The tail end of Rivenspire was worth quite a lot of money as well.
Oh, I need more Lumicite.
Okay, so I'm really surprised that as much as Ray has threatened to do this, you guys have not hijacked the cast to talk about League of Legends.
Yeah.
Well, so
We're trying to figure out what exactly is going on with League of Legends, because we're all quite confused right now.
It's very confusing. League of Legends pro circuit is kind of crazy right now.
Up in the air.
It's the off-season, and so it's trading time, apparently.
So are people just swapping back and forth between teams, or
People are
There's all of
retiring,
that.
people are getting benched.
so? What
People are
happened
moving
with,
around.
What happened with Dignitas? There was something where like another team merged into them.
Okay.
Coast failed to make it back into the LCS, so their
Through
two best
relegation.
players got picked up by Dignitas.
Okay.
Well, they disbanded first, and then Dignitas picked up their people.
Officially, that is the order in which things happened, yes.
That's so like I find that interesting because there's probably no hard set rules in how this is supposed to work, like there is in say traditional sports.
There are some now. They worked after the mess that was situation going into the spring split in Europe. They put some rules down. You can't have more than 2 players from any team that was in the previous season. So you can't like just pick up a previous team and call it a different team.
So
But
another
you can come
company
pretty
buy
close.
them.
How many team members can you have from a previous team?
2.
2?
So, but can you have like 2 from this one, 2 from this one, and like cobble together
I think at
a
that
team?
point you don't have your original team because you don't have 3 members of the original team anymore.
Then you have Alliance.
So I think in order to keep your spot, you need 3 members of the original team.
What if everyone up from the original team decides to retire?
Then I guess they would hold another tryout, like they did in the spring split,
Oh, okay.
when Lemon Dogs lost their spot from not filling out paperwork.
What?
Got it. Well, yes. That happened in the not spring split. Well, before the spring split, yes. Yeah, Lemon Dogs didn't fill out any of their paperwork, and well, they filled out paperwork and it was incomplete, and they were constantly being late, and so Riot said, "No, you guys don't get to compete."
Ouch.
I find this whole thing interesting because it's like listening to somebody talk about traditional sports teams, but with the worst possible names ever. Like, it's just interesting to me. Like, no matter how hard I try, I just cannot grasp this.
Listen, Super Hot Crew XD is a great team name.
God. Yeah, exactly. That is a prime example of one of the horrible names.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's a wonderful team name.
It's like okay, if you had baseball, but you allowed 13-year-olds to name all the teams, and you
Yeah,
would
exactly.
have the names. You would have the names in the LCS.
The Corn Dogs.
There are some generally serious names, and then there are less serious ones.
I don't know.
There are some.
Some of these organizations have longer history than League of Legends
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like Curse and
Evil Geniuses.
Evil
And
Geniuses. I'm not sure about
Don't
the
actually know
history
about
of
that one.
Fnatic.
See,
I know they have
but Curse and
races in the game.
Fnatic and Evil Geniuses, like, those names are all fairly tame. And I guess at this point I've just heard all of those names from other games for so long that I'm just used to it. But Super Hot Crew, or whatever that one is, yeah, that one I still can't register.
That one is special.
That one is extra special. Well,
Like, Lemon
Super
Dogs is
Hot
equally
Crew.
that way too to me. Like
Super-
But that was a Counter-Strike organization.
Yeah.
The Walking
Well,
Zen.
And then Ninjas in Pajamas.
Oh,
Also
yeah.
a Counter-Strike organization.
Okay, that's an amazing name, though. I gotta give that one respect because I totally picture the bananas in pajamas with like ninja getup.
And they stab you.
And then, of course, my favorite French team, STO.
Thankfully, they didn't make it in under that name.
Yeah. Did they
No.
retire at that point? Or
I have no idea.
Yeah, I assume.
So
don't
what
know what
does
happened
that
to them.
stand for?
Salad.
Tomate, onion. Tomato, onion salad.
Okay.
Wow. Genius.
There's also the salad bar in North America. I think
Steve bakes
around the
cookies.
same time.
I mean, this is like, I guess part of my problem.
Challenger teams don't
is
have
all of
sponsors.
this-
They don't have big names. They name themselves whatever they want.
All of this
Yeah.
reminds me of MOK, Magicians of Kisses. Which is supposedly what happened when they put Warlock in Google Translate and ran it through a bunch of other terms or other languages and back to English. It came out as
No,
Magician of
really
Kisses.
happened?
No, it was the actual thing they did was, and I'm gonna go a little blue here, but fuck Warlocks. They translated that a whole bunch and got Magicians of Kisses.
That's funny. I knew it was something to do with Warlocks, but still, it's a horrible name for a raid. But it became like a pinnacle of our server
Wow.
And it was a horrible
Well,
name for
no
a ring.
one knows what the acronym stands for.
I know.
You can get away with it, like XDG.
And what does that one stand for?
Ex Duris Gloria.
Well, okay, so
There's
it
a-
was
It was,
It was-
XD.GG, which I thought was a funny emoticon that they were using to, for their team. And then I found out it was a pretentious Latin name, and I was sad.
It was totally both. Let's be fair. They totally wanted to have a hilarious emoticon / GG and also a pretentious Latin name.
And that's why they're no longer in the LCS.
But, yeah.
My favorite one was I don't remember what server it was on. It wasn't on Argent Dawn, but somebody had basically said pretentious Latin name in Latin.
What a...
We had a pretentious Latin name on Sentinels, I think.
Yeah.
Actually called that.
When is the All-Stars?
I think in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay. So, prediction?
The Korean team wins.
Korean team. Who is the Korean team?
SKT.
Aren't they all... like the solid teams. For the individual teams, they've mixed everybody up.
Look, that whole format is so wild that I don't think anybody can predict anything that's going to go on there.
Oh,
Team Icy Fire.
For the teams of everyone votes for their favorite player?
Yes. Resulting in a team without a support and a team without a jungler.
Awesome.
I don't feel like that's as big of a problem as it's going to seem, because I figure at least someone can fill those roles.
I'm sure someone can do it.
I mean, Wild Turtle.
This is the team that I commented that I thought it made me wonder if anyone could actually drive on it, right? That's the team you're talking
that
about?
team.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, I'm pretty sure they can all drive.
Yeah, we had that discussion. But I'm feeling very old because they look very, very young.
Okay, yeah.
The age cutoff to be in League of Legends is 17. You have to be at least 17 years old.
In North America and Europe.
In North America and Europe?
Yes.
Okay.
Other leagues have different rules.
Well, so it's younger in Korea, but remember Korean ages are also messed up. Like, Koreans are born at age 1, and their birthdays are on the Korean New Year. Their ages in Korea, you start off at 1 year old. There is no year 0 or 24 months or X number of months. You always start off as 1, and every time the Korean New Year occurs, the entire country's age increments by 1.
That is really odd.
Bizarre. No wonder they're so competitive.
So a child...
Everybody has the same birthday.
Well, so a child who is would be like 6 months old in America, Korea. So for the same reason, somebody who's 14 or 15 would in Korea is
12 or 13.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
So yes.
Or it could work the other way.
That skews younger.
No,
So
it skews
always going to skew
younger.
younger.
It's always going to skew younger. You're right. Wow. Maybe they have the same number then.
So what if so what if you were born 2 months before the new year? When the new year happened, would you immediately become 2?
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's just so
It
weird.
is different. It is different.
It's listed as being a common misconception, by the way.
What?
That age increments on the Lunar New Year.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
When does it increment? Are you looking this up?
Just looking, yeah.
To the Wikipedia!
To the Ashgar! Should we play Jeopardy music?
Anyways.
Koreans keep track of both.
Oh, they keep track of both?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, it depends on which one they give out, I guess.
Interesting. As I said, age is kind of like so many things. We don't all do this. We all don't keep track of stuff the same way.
It's true.
Nope.
Because if it were not already an hour, I would totally get into the dragon discussion. But we've run almost an hour at this point.
All right.
So I guess this is as good a place to close it out as any. Hopefully everybody has a good week, and we will talk to you next Saturday.
Bye!
See you.
Hopefully Sunday when I post it. But anyway, see y'all later.
See ya.
See you.
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 See ya.